Well, hello, and a special welcome to a special stat matchup, a TITANIC. Huge matchup, between six-time undisputed two-weight champion Sugar Ray Robinson and three-time three-weight undisputed champion Henry Armstrong. Sugar Ray Robinson, of course, the first six-time undisputed champion. Henry Armstrong, the first fighter to hold three world titles in three main divisions at the same time, albeit for a short time. An incredible matchup between two of my top 10 all-time great fighters. We will go through the stat matchup. The result will be at the end. But I think it's fair to say that both of these fighters are incredibly accomplished with incredible, deep resumes and some crazy accomplishments. So without further ado, we will jump into this huge, massive matchup, and some figures on some slides are a bit silly. People talk, but at the end of the day, this is what these fighters did. So how will they match against each other, and who will take the stat matchup? So let us go to slide 1. Now, when we look at slide 1, it features champions. So, Sugar Ray Robinson beat 13 champions, that is bested by Henry Armstrong's total of 16. And when it comes to champions knocked out, it's again advantage Henry Armstrong. He knocked out 9 individual champions. Sugar Ray Robinson knocked out 6. Good morning, Martin. Good to see you, buddy. The huge matchup is finally here, and it's a monster. So in fights against champions, Sugar Ray Robinson edges this one. 37 fights against champions compared to Henry Armstrong's tally of 30. Wins against champions is also Sugar Ray Robinson. He scored 25 wins against champions compared to Henry Armstrong's 22. But Henry Armstrong, like with the individual champions knocked out, he's also got more accumulated knockouts against champions, scoring 12 to Sugar Ray Robinson's 8. Rounds against champions swings back Sugar Ray Robinson's way. He fought over 400 rounds against champions, an insane total of 404. That easily beats Henry Armstrong's total of 264. And Sugar Ray Robinson also wins the champions in title fight stat. He scored wins against 9 champions in title fights. Henry Armstrong scored 5. And the percent of their career against champions, both of these guys had near 200 fight careers. For Robinson, virtual 200 fight career. Henry Armstrong also a large career, and they are very close in the percentage of their career against champions, but it is edged by Sugar Ray Robinson with 18% to Henry Armstrong's 16%. But the champions they beat, how many weights did those champions they beat title? And with Sugar Ray Robinson, it is 5, so he beat champions that titled in 5 weights. Henry Armstrong beat champions that titled in 7 weights. So that slide is a to and a fro. Both fighters win stats against each other. Of course, at the end will be a slide highlighting how each slide was scored and who won each slide. So going on to slide 2, Hall of Fame stats. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson beat 10 individual Hall of Famers. That is edged by Henry Armstrong's tally of 11. And along with Greb and Langford and McLarnin, these fighters are part of the small group of fighters who've beaten double-digit Hall of Famers. That just edged by Armstrong. In terms of Hall of Famers knocked out individually, this has advantaged Sugar Ray Robinson. He's scored knockouts against 6 individual Hall of Famers to Henry Armstrong's 5. And fights against Hall of Famers advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He had 29 fights against Hall of Famers compared to Henry Armstrong's 21. And Robinson also scored more wins against Hall of Famers from that total, scoring 21 wins. That is compared to Henry Armstrong's 14. And Robinson scored more KOs against champions cumulatively. He scored 9 KOs against Hall of Famers to Henry Armstrong's 6. And rounds against Hall of Famers again advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He fought a total of 314 rounds against Hall of Famers compared to Henry Armstrong's 210. Wins against Hall of Famers in title fights, again, advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He scored 9 wins against Hall of Famers in title fights compared to Henry Armstrong's tally of 5. And the percent of their career against Hall of Famers, the final stat on Hall of Fame slide, Robinson fought 14% of his career against Hall of Famers, Henry Armstrong fought 11%. So, unlike the first slide, other than individual Hall of Famers beaten, Sugar Ray Robinson also almost clean sweeped that slide, but Armstrong beat more individual Hall of Famers. Everything else goes to Sugar Ray Robinson. So, whereas the first slide was more of a to and fro battle, slide 2 definitely advantaged Robinson. So going on to our next slide, okay, rated opponents. Some of the figures on here are crazy, okay. Sugar Ray Robinson had a total of 88. That's more than double Terence Crawford's career total in fights. Okay, Robinson had 88 fights against top 10 fighters. Okay, Armstrong has a similarly insane number, but slightly smaller, 82. When we look at fights against top 3 rated fighters, again, advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He had 58 fights against top 3 rated fighters. Henry Armstrong comes in with a total of 42. And Robinson doubles Armstrong's tally of 13 fights against ring champions with a massive total of 26. Now, when we look at wins against top 10 fighters, that is also tight, but advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He scored 69 wins against top 10 fighters compared to Henry Armstrong's 66. And wins against top 3 fighters is more pronounced. Robinson scoring 44 compared to Henry Armstrong's 30. And wins against ring champion Sugar Ray Robinson scored a massive 19, okay, compared to Henry Armstrong's 9. Now, when we look at the rounds against top 10 fighters, and this is a bit weird because some of these stats will be on the career video, but I don't believe I've done Henry Armstrong's career video yet. I have done Sugar Ray Robinson's, so you'll find out some stats on Armstrong you won't see until the video. You'll find them out now. So Robinson fought against top 10 fighters a total of 769 rounds. Henry Armstrong comes in with a tally of 621. Against top 3 rated fighters, Robinson fought a massive 596 rounds compared to Henry Armstrong's 366. And rounds against champions, again, massive advantage Robinson, 279 rounds he fought against ring champions compared to Henry Armstrong's 129. But after that slide, okay, dominated by Sugar Ray Robinson, big shout out to Clash Royale Pro 698 in the chat as well, Armstrong has more overall knockouts against rated fighters. Sugar Ray Robinson scored 36 knockouts against rated fighters. Henry Armstrong betters that tally with a total of 43. So after the first slide, what was to and fro, the last 2 slides hedged heavily by Sugar Ray Robinson. So going on to the next slide, okay, carrying on rated fighters and going on to knockout stats, the percent of their career that they fought rated fighters is actually very narrowly Henry Armstrong, but almost too close, to distinguish really, considering the massive careers. Robinson fought 44% of his career against rated fighters. Henry Armstrong fought a total of 45%. Now, they beat rated fighters, okay, so the rated fighters they beat, how many weights were they rated in totality? Robinson beat rated fighters who were rated in 3 weights, as did Henry Armstrong. So that is all the rated fighters that beat every division those fighters were rated in. How many divisions did they cover? So wins against rated fighters, okay, this is in the year of the fight, okay, not overall historic. So in the year they fought them, Sugar Ray Robinson has advantage in wins against rated opponents. He scored 26 wins against fighters who were rated that year he fought them. Armstrong comes in with a slightly lower tally of 22. And in KO stats, again, advantage Sugar Ray Robinson, okay, 108 knockouts to Henry Armstrong's 101, but of course both members of the not too large 100 plus knockout club. KOs in 3 rounds, again, advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He had 57 knockouts in 3 rounds or less compared to Henry Armstrong's 37. And Robinson thrashes Armstrong on first round wins. Robinson has a total of 20 versus Henry Armstrong's 6. Now, the percent of their career that ended in knockouts, okay, for Robinson it is 54%. For Henry Armstrong is a slightly smaller tally of 55%. And KOs in 3 rounds as a percentage of their career fights, Robinson wins this one 28% compared to Henry Armstrong's 20%. Now, the percent of their career that resulted in first round knockouts, Sugar Ray Robinson scores 10%, Henry Armstrong scores 3%. So after that first slide, okay, Robinson seems to be winning, dominating a lot of the slides. Okay, when we go on to title fight stats, okay, Armstrong fires back. Now, in overall world title fights between these two illustrious all-time greats, okay, Robinson had a total of 22 title fights. Armstrong betters that with 26. And the advantage in title fight wins is more pronounced for Armstrong. Robinson scoring 14 title fight wins to Henry Armstrong's 22. Sugar Ray Robinson also made 8 title defences across his various reigns. Armstrong, of course, with his welterweight division record of 19 title defences, beats this one. A lot of people talk about him holding 3 titles at the same time, and that is an incredible accomplishment, but some people are in the mind that he was defending those titles. Actually, he only ever defended the welterweight title. He didn't hold the featherweight title that long, and he lost the lightweight title in his first defence against Luambers, okay, in the bloody and brutal rematch. So, going on to title fight knockouts again, that is advantage Henry Armstrong with a massive total of 16 compared to Sugar Ray Robinson's 8. In terms of career title fight rounds, Robinson edges this one. He fought 261 title fight rounds to Henry Armstrong's 205. Now, the percent of their career fights that were title fights for Robinson, it's 11%. Armstrong betters that at 14%. And Armstrong also spent more of his career defending his titles, 10%, to Sugar Ray Robinson's 4%. Now, wins against rated fighters in title fights. Now, in overall wins against top 10 fighters in title fights, Armstrong wins it with 15 wins compared to Sugar Ray Robinson's 13. But when we go to the top 3 rated fighters, Robinson nearly doubles Armstrong's tally, scoring 13 wins against top 3 fighters in title fights compared to Henry Armstrong's 7. And Robinson also wins in ring champions beaten in title fights with 7 wins against ring champions in title fights to Henry Armstrong's 3. So Armstrong didn't fully dominate this slide, but after recent slides, clearly Henry Armstrong has fought back to an extent on this one. Big shout out to my friend in the chat, Random Acoustic Thoughts. Just on a side note, mate, we aren't giving out away. I've still heard nothing. I am getting worried. But anyway, okay, let us crack on with the stat matchup. Sorry there, just had an urge to cough. Right, so let us go on to our next slide, okay? So carrying on, world title picture. Okay, overall world title, Sugar Ray Robinson wins this one, capturing 6 to Henry Armstrong's 3. Robinson also, therefore, is a 6-time lineal champion compared to Henry Armstrong's 3. And Robinson is a 6-time undisputed champion compared to Henry Armstrong's 3. Now, Robinson wins the overall title numbers, but titles in weights are all won by Henry Armstrong. Robinson, of course, captured titles in 2 weights to Henry Armstrong's 3. Armstrong also had advantage being a lineal 3-weight champion to Sugar Ray Robinson's 2. And Armstrong was a 3-weight undisputed champion. Sugar Ray Robinson was a 2. So the slide on titles is completely split. Robinson has won more overall. Armstrong has won titles across more weights. So going on quickly, okay, to our next slide after that shorter slide. It is how they were rated as fighters themselves. So we've covered rated opponent stats, okay. Now, Sugar Ray Robinson was top 10 rated for a staggering 17 years. That nearly doubles Henry Armstrong's tally of 9. But them being top 3 rated, okay, both of them were top 3 rated also in that time for 5 years. But in terms of being a ring champion, Sugar Ray Robinson dominates that one as well. He was a ring champion for 10 years throughout his career compared to Henry Armstrong's 3. Now, both of these fighters were top 10 rated in 2 divisions. They were both top 3 rated in 2 divisions. I've missed that damn bracket off, but that bracket is on now. This video had been got ready before I uploaded the live last time. I said that bracket's missing, but trust me, it's there now. Okay, and they were both Robinson, I've lost train of thought, going off on brackets. So ring champion by divisions, Robinson was 2, Armstrong was 3. So in terms of overall ring ranking points they score based on certain points based on position each year they're ranked, Robinson thrashes this one, more than doubling Armstrong's tally of 154 with a massive total of 315. So that slide, heavy advantage to Sugar Ray Robinson. So going on to our next slide, okay, is pound for pound rankings, and again both of these guys score some insane numbers. So in overall, as in being how many years were they pound for pound top 10 ranked, Sugar Ray Robinson comes in with 11 years he was a top 10 pound for pounder. That's crazy, over a decade. Henry Armstrong was still an impressive 7 years. In terms of being pound for pound top 3 ranked, Sugar Ray Robinson narrowly edges this one, being ranked 7 years to Henry Armstrong's 6, and Sugar Ray Robinson was also a pound for pound number 1 rated fighter in 4 individual years, compared to Henry Armstrong's 2. Now fights against pound for pound fighters, okay, Robinson had a massive total of 39, just slightly edging Armstrong's equally massive total of 35. Now fights against pound for pound top 3 ranked fighters, okay, is again advantage Sugar Ray Robinson. He had 20 fights compared to Henry Armstrong's 12, and Sugar Ray Robinson had 13 fights against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. So he had 13 fights against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. Many fighters in current top 10 pound for pound have not had 13 fights against rated opponents, never mind pound for pound number 1 opponents. Armstrong has 4 fights against pound for pound number 1 ranked fighters. So in overall numbers, advantage Sugar Ray Robinson, and that continues in wins in those categories. Wins against pound for pound fighters, okay, from their totals, Robinson scores 28 to Armstrong's 25, and against pound for pound top 3 fighters, Robinson has a bigger advantage, having 14 wins against pound for pound top 3 fighters to Henry Armstrong's 5, and Robinson has 9 wins against pound for pound number 1 fighters compared to Henry Armstrong's 1. Now overall KOs against pound for pound fighters, okay, that is advantage slightly to Henry Armstrong. He scored 13 cumulative knockouts against pound for pound fighters compared to Sugar Ray Robinson's 11. So we have 3 slides to go, 2 of them stat slides. Let's go to our next slide, continuing the pound for pound stats. Now overall rounds against pound for pounders, this is won by Sugar Ray Robinson. He fought over 400 rounds against pound for pounders. Yes, small compared to some fighters like Langford, but still an insane tally. Armstrong fought an impressive but smaller 321 rounds against pound for pound fighters. Now individual pound for pound fighters beat, okay, that goes to Henry Armstrong, okay, and Henry Armstrong, along with another fighter who is not Langford and not Britain and not Dundee, is the highest scorer in individual pound for pounders beaten in my database so far. That is a total of 18 between Armstrong and another fighter. That is an incredible number. 18 individual pound for pounders beat. Robinson scores a mighty impressive, okay, but less equal, 15 individual pound for pound fighters beaten. And just interestingly, Harry Greb is not the other fighter joint with Armstrong. Greb comes in with 17, but Greb fought those pound for pounders more in bigger fight runs, but individually Greb has way more fights against pound for pounders than both of these fighters, but you know, individually Greb had larger fight runs like Smith, Loughran, etc. So Armstrong edges that one. Now individual pound for pound fighters knocked out, again slight advantage Henry Armstrong. He knocked out 10 individual pound for pound rated fighters. Sugar Ray Robinson knocked out 9. Now pound for pound wins in title fights, okay, this is edged by Sugar Ray Robinson. He scored 9 wins against pound for pounders in title fights to Henry Armstrong's 7, and wins against pound for pound rated fighters the year they fought them. Henry Armstrong scored 6 wins against current that year pound for pounders. Sugar Ray Robinson scored 7. So we have one slide to go, the rated opponent slide. Now, this slide, okay, basically is how they did against rated opponents the year they fought them. So the rated opponents who were rated that year these fighters fought them, their records against them based on their positions. So against ring champions, both fighters score 1 win. Okay, Robinson had more fights, but both fighters score 1 win. Against rated fighters who were ranked number 1 when they fought them, Robinson scores 7 wins to Henry Armstrong's 4. But just consider that the year they fought them, Robinson had 5 fights against ring champions and 12 fights against fighters who were number 1 ranked in a division. Crazy numbers. In terms of beating second place opponents, Henry Armstrong scored 2 wins to Sugar Ray Robinson's 1. Robinson scored more wins against top 3 rated fighters with 6 wins to Armstrong's 0, and Armstrong scored more wins against 4th placed opponents, 5, compared to Sugar Ray Robinson's 1. Against 5th place opponents, Armstrong again edges that one with 5 wins to 3 wins, and against 6th placed opponent and 7th placed opponents, both Sugar Ray Robinson and Henry Armstrong scored 1 win apiece. Against opponents ranked 8th, Sugar Ray Robinson scores 3 to Henry Armstrong's 2, and against opponents ranked 9th, Robinson again edges that one with 2 wins to Armstrong's 0, and against fighters who were rated 10th place, Henry Armstrong scored 1 win, Sugar Ray Robinson scored 0. So the idea behind this on the stat matchup is one fighter may fight more number 1 ranked places, some fighters fight more fighters rated in the bottom half. Okay, so what I do is score each position with their wins against them to give like a semi-average of how they've done across top 10 fighters against each other. So there is the stat matchup done. That stat matchup is huge. I was almost tongue-tying myself sometimes because what I've done is I originally titled on the slides pound for pounders beaten in title fight, but it wasn't beaten individually, it was wins, and I thought that was too confusing. So I've changed that now, so sometimes when I get to that I'm still trying to say it as I was saying it before, but actually it is wins against pound for pounders, same with Hall of Famers and champions in title fights, not individual pound for pounders or Hall of Famers being in title fights. So I had to change those stats to wins from fights, just so there was no confusion. So that is a Titanic matchup. Robinson dominated pretty much a number of slides. Armstrong, others. Armstrong were very tight on first one to and fro. The title fight slide again, Armstrong. This slide, a bit of a mixed bag. So it's now time to show the result of the stat matchup and their scores across the various slides. Now, when we look at slide 1, that was edged by Sugar Ray Robinson, 5 points to 4. Slide 2 was more dominated by Robinson. He won 7 to Armstrong's 1. And slide 3 also dominated by Robinson, scoring 9 points to Armstrong's 1. Slide 4, Robinson scored 6 points to Armstrong's 2. And of course, going on to the title fight slide, Henry Armstrong won that one, scoring 7 points to Sugar Ray Robinson's 3. Slide 6 was 3 points apiece, of course. Titles won, and titles won across individual weights, while slide 7 was edged by Sugar Ray Robinson, scoring 3 points to 1. Slide 8 was more dominated by Robinson, the pound for pound stats first slide, scoring 9 points to Armstrong's 1, and slide 9 Robinson scored 3 points to Armstrong's 2, and the final slide, the rated opponents in the year they fought them in based on position, both scored 4 points, with some draws in there. So the result of this Titanic matchup, from the 85 points, 78 of them, so there were only 7 drawn stats through the whole matchup, 78 of them were scored, and the winner is Sugar Ray Robinson. He scored 52 points across this stat matchup compared to Henry Armstrong's tally of 26. But even though I've assigned a winner in the stat matchup, I would like to end by saying both of these fighters are incredible, and even though Armstrong was on the losing end of the stat matchup, some of his figures he scores and some of his stats he scores are not equalled by virtually any other fighters in boxing history. Like I say, the individual pound for pounders beating, Armstrong sits joint top, with an incredible total of 18 that even Greb and Langford and fighters like that don't match. Some of the incredible title fight numbers, his massive totals against rated opponents. So both of these fighters legitimate top 10 all-time greats. So I've done finally a matchup with 2 top 10 all-time greats, and Sugar Ray Robinson wins this one, and Henry Armstrong has very severe commiserations as an all-time great loser on this particular matchup. Now, one person already asked me if I would do a matchup between Usyk or Inoue or Crawford against one of my top 10 all-time greats. Okay, now in stat matchups, I'm just going to say all those three are great fighters in their own right. Okay, Usyk, Inoue and Crawford are all great fighters in their own right. Okay, but they are this era's fighters. They virtually have no fights compared to my top 10 all-time ATGs. Many of the stats would be lopsided. Okay, I'm not doing silly matchups. I will more do matchups between them fighters against other fighters from the last 30 years. Okay, because I think they're in the same era with the same belt structure, and also the careers are more similar size, rather than matching Inoue, who's had over 30 fights, compared to a fighter who's had nearly 300 fights. Someone asked me if I'd do a matchup between Inoue and Rosenblum. I mean, come on, people. Rosenblum had over 150 fights against top 10 fighters. I'm not doing that matchup. It's ridiculous. Inoue will win some stats on title stats, mainly based on his era, proliferation of belts everywhere. But aside from that, he's going to get absolutely crushed by Rosenblum. So I'm not doing that one. I do have a match with Rosenblum featured coming up. That is against the great Ezard Charles. I've also got another matchup ready that I will upload at some point. That is Roberto Duran, okay, against another great lightweight, Tony Canzoneri. I've also got a Tommy Gibbons and Billy Mistat matchup ready. And what was the one I got ready yesterday? I got another one ready yesterday. But yeah, I've got a number of them ready. I've also got loads of career videos ready. So more stat matchups will come. But I'm not going to match like Hilario Zapata against Johnny Dundee. I mean, it's silly and pointless. They're going to be lopsided and not much enjoyment in doing them, to be honest. I think I matched Usyk against an all-time great on my old channel and he got absolutely thrashed. Now, Usyk has improved his numbers, his stats since then, and will continue to improve them as he fights for however long he chooses to fight. But matching fighters like this against my top 10 all-time greats, where many of them have 300 or more careers, stacked full of great names, is just ridiculous. So there is my latest stat matchup. What a giant, two all-time great fighters. The respect I have for these fighters is incredible. If I were a Google researcher like that idiot, I may say that Armstrong would be incapable of defeating any welterweight contender from 1950 to now. But luckily for everyone, I'm not that stupid. Okay, so there's my latest stat matchup. The great Sugar Ray Robinson takes it. Henry Armstrong is an all-time great, but a loser on this occasion. Many more stat matchups coming across all the divisions between all kinds of fighters. The playlist will grow largely over the next few years while I'm growing my career playlists. So I will leave everyone there with this Titanic matchup. Robinson takes it. I'm the Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.